Welcome to Talking Shit. I'm Eddie Ift. I'm the host of this show still. Lachlan tried to remove me, but I retained the leadership role. I don't know how long I'll be here. I could quit this week if you guys don't keep supporting and sending me money, lots of money, so I can buy this $2 million home. You guys are fucking crazy thinking this house isn't worth $20,000. My mom is a realtor in Pennsylvania. She came in my house and told me this house in Pittsburgh is worth less than $100,000. Wow, that's in Pittsburgh. Yeah, but anyway, my guest tonight is my good friend Paul Provenza. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see we're doing something different. Chi-Chi thought it'd be funny if we do it like a talk show where I look into the camera the whole time, and it's really creeping me out. I'm creeped out right now. I can't do it.
Because a podcast, you know, there's a million podcasts, but a talk show, that's innovative.
Yeah, that's really... How about my idea? Paul and I had lunch today, and I told him my idea. I can't tell it on the air because I feel like if I tell it, somebody else will do it.
I don't know how we can talk about it.
Because I don't have the resources yet to do it.
Yeah.
But it is genius, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to do this. You and I have talked about it.
Who gave you the genius idea, Eddie?
Oh, that idea. No, I'm talking about the other idea. Wait, I'm on film. I can't even mime it. My other podcast, the one I want to do.
Oh, yeah. It's not as genius as my idea.
Yeah, but I am doing your idea.
Yeah,
and I'll tell it right now. We can talk about it. Because that way, if you want to come.
That's right.
My show that I'm doing in Australia, for my show, every year I have to do a new hour, which is makes comics work harder, but also makes us put out sometimes not the greatest product, I think.
Yeah, but it also pushes a lot of people to really stretch their wings and do things in different ways and stuff. It's amazing. I mean, look, that's
it's
why
good and it's bad. It's good.
Why Louis is so great. It's why Carlin was so great. Every year, a new hour. Case closed.
Right, but I also think, as I've heard Chris Rock say it, and I do agree, I think it takes 2 years to make a great hour.
For most of us.
Are you saying the black ones have trouble? I think that's what Paul was going for. I'm going to put words in his mouth. That bothers me. We've been eating nuts, and I just ate a Brazil nut, which when I was a kid, I was told it was called a nigger toe. And you told me Louis had an episode about it.
But that's when they're in the shell.
Yeah, and I said it off the shell. I didn't say it. Chi-Chi said it. I baited him into it, and he said it. I heard there's this comedian I worked with in Michigan. He's coming out to L.A. He won some contest. Really funny one-liner comic. Yeah. And he had all these really funny fucking jokes. His name's Brad. See who I worked with in Livonia, Michigan at Joey's, because I want to get his last name right because he's really, really funny. And he's young. He's like 22 years old, and he has all these great ones. It's so funny now when you travel, when you do stand-up, they're so funny everywhere because they have the internet and they're where it used to be really the road made hacks. Now it has these like great comics all over the world. So this kid Brad had one joke that I loved. I need to say his name because I want him to get credit for this joke. But he had one joke where he said, "Do you think turkeys ever look at peacocks and go faggot?" And then he had this other joke where he said, "Grandfather clocks they shouldn't be called grandfather." I'm paraphrasing because I'm probably messing it up, but he said grandfather clocks shouldn't be called grandfather clocks because they don't really represent grandfather clocks, because if they did, instead of bells ringing every hour, they would just say something vaguely racist. And he had all these great jokes like that, and I'm like, you're fucking 22 years old, like that's scary.
Did you ever hear Tommy Wallamies? Mm-mm. I think he's from Finland or something like that. Some of the best one-liners I've ever heard. My favorite, he just goes, "I have a joke about Auschwitz." You had to be there.
That's like Henning Ven, or what's his name? Henning Ven.
Also another funny one.
Yeah, he's the German guy that does like wears lederhosen, and I love him. I wanted to have him on my podcast.
He's really sharp, though. He's really sharp. Like his political satire is like really smart.
Yeah,
and it's in a second language.
He also looks a little downy, though. You know, like he's got an eye just that's going a little astray or something. You know, like where you're like,
you know, there was a lot of mustard gas and all kinds of weird shit going on.
They're supposed to be the superior race, and it's like if that's superior,
well, he wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, they would have got rid of that.
I think comics got put away real quick.
Jim Jeffries had a great joke about Hitler. He's like, people used to say, don't know if he's ever used it on stage, but he's used it on me 1,000 times. And he goes, people always say, the argument is, hey, if we didn't fight the Germans for you, you'd all be goose stepping right now. And Jim's like, wait, if you didn't fight the Germans, I'd be fucking really hot blonde girls right now. Does it mention who else is? Oh, fuck. Wait, there it is. Oh, no.
You heard Stanhope's bit about
Brad. He drove me around. He was a nice guy. This is terrible. I don't remember his name. If you're from Michigan and you were at my show or you know him, please.
It's easier to lift his lines if you don't remember his name.
No, I got to give this guy credit. He's fucking good. Put in Eddie F. Brad Joey's Livonia. Fuck, I have his phone number. I'm gonna text him and say, "What's your fucking last name?" Let's find him. Let's give this guy. Oh, what a shitty club! Not giving credit.
How about you look at the club's calendar?
He wasn't on it.
Maybe he has no name.
I feel bad. I'm texting him so that I know.
This is really compelling podcast.
We do this all the time. People like it when it's less professional. I swear to God, the more professional we get, the less
But I'm here and I'm bored.
Really? This is the attitude you're going to have tonight? It's not very often do I do a one-on-one interview with someone.
Well, why don't you let these monkeys find it and
not very often
fill in the gaps.
Not very often do I interview someone. I usually just talk about myself.
Apparently, you're still not.
All right, I'm gonna find him. Just give me a fucking second, because Ernie edits all this.
This guy better suck your cock, man.
No, I feel bad. The guy's funny and he deserves some credit.
Brad Tassel.
That's not his name.
Not Brad Tassel.
It's not his fucking name.
But how's Brad? Is he funny?
I'm finding it. Bradley Schaefer. Oh, that could be it. Nope. Okay, here it is. How about this? What's your last name? Yeah, fuck him. He should be up. All right, back to the show. Edit that all out, Machete. He won't. I'd say Machete's on a... You are good about 50% of the time. Like, it depends on how much drugs he's on.
Nice.
Where he'll go, if I go edit that out, there's about a 50% chance it's going to get edited out. I mean, like, really important shit, too, where I'll be like... I just talked about, having sex with someone that I should, and he'll be like, I got it. And then I'll listen to the podcast. I'm like, you didn't get it. It's about the weed.
I smoke too much weed.
Yeah, I forget, and I don't smoke weed. I need to smoke weed, I think.
Eddie, you need a guy. It's sort of like life. Like you know how Machete doesn't edit you when you say edit that shouldn't go out public. You have that same problem in your head, that just anything will go out public. You don't have the Machete in your head doing the edits.
Here's why. I've learned it doesn't matter.
See, that's my point.
Nobody cares.
That's why I let the man get high and leave him alone.
No, but I'm serious. It's the whole idea of my show, Trainwreck. Nobody gives a fuck. I could say the most horrific things in the world, and people would be like,
people only give a shit if you're a celebrity.
Yeah, that's all, like Steve Martin when he made that. It was such an innocuous joke.
God. Oh, don't get me started. Or the Onion tweet during last year's Oscars over, what's that little black girl's name? Ebenezer.
Ebenezer doesn't matter.
What was her name?
Who cares?
No. All right, now you find this. You find out the name of the little girl that was in the movie. Yeah, but this is a name that no white person could remember. Not like what we're going to hear is like Brad Johnson or whatever the hell.
You can't remember any black people's names because they're fake names. They're like not traditional names. They're like...
I don't even remember the name of the movie. Yeah, the little girl...
I like how you just typed in black little girl.
Oscars.
Wait. I don't need that in my cache, by the way. In my history.
There's an apostrophe in her name, but I think it's just pronounced like a click.
I just said her name in
No, I don't think it was. Wasn't it something like
Kwanzaa? That's a holiday. Wait, what's the Swahili? No, Kosa.
I thought I was out of the game with the other one, the chick from Precious, the big black girl from Precious.
I would fuck the shit out of her.
Yeah, you tell me what her name is. Exactly. What is it?
What's her name? Go back up. Scroll up. Her name is
Spell it.
Kwevenzahane Wallace.
No, that's not it.
Kevin
Nazi
Quinza
Wallace? That doesn't sound right.
Kubert. Quaaludes. I just saw The Wolf of Wall Street. I didn't realize Quaaludes were so fun.
Are you talking about what's depicted in the film, or what apparently Scorsese was on making it?
Yeah, he couldn't stop. It's like, fucking hit the edit button, dude. Just hit cut. It's easy. Just cut a little piece here. 2 hours into the film, I'm like, really? You're going to keep going? I've seen enough. They just kept fucking doing blow and throwing midgets and fucking whores. And I was like, we get it. These guys had fun. We get it.
You went to a movie theater to see it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was bored I went on Christmas Day.
I went one day, one Christmas Day, I went to see Schindler's List when it first came out. I went on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And
you and all the Jews.
Yeah, so in the lobby, I just went real loud for everybody here. I just went, wow, that was incredible. What an amazing movie. Jesus. Could you imagine if any of that stuff really happened?
Quevenza Hani. Whatever. So they got in trouble for not knowing her name?
No. They wrote. It's. You remember the Onion thing? Somebody. They said something like it was satirizing all the Hollywood bullshit or something like that, and this sweet. She's just beautiful. She's angelic. I mean, even just a shot of her on the screen it just makes you smile from ear to ear. And somebody wrote, look, I know everybody, somebody from the Onion wrote, I know what everybody's thinking and somebody's got to say it, but that little, whatever her name is really a cunt, right? It was hilarious. But I think not only did it push a lot of buttons, but I think it pushed a particular interesting button because it was, it was the cunt word rubbing up against this beautiful 9-year-old girl, which is why it's funny. It's the antithesis.
Yeah,
right?
That's the whole object of it.
But you know that, as Rick Overton says, this country didn't get Irony V2 installed yet.
It's I love it when they don't get it.
It's hilarious. It's what Andy Kaufman was.
Yeah.
It's why Andy Kaufman was a genius.
Have I ever told you my Andy Kaufman story?
Which Andy Kaufman story?
It's not my story. It's the owner of Dangerfields, Tony.
Yeah, Tony. Wait, what the hell is his name? Tony. It's a great name. I can't
Tony's
believe
name.
he's
and
not
Tony
been
was
in
always
every Scorsese movie.
Tony was really good to me.
He's great.
And Tony is not very. He's not very comedy oriented. Like, he owns a comedy club. He has comedians there all the time, but he's not.
He's very Vegas-y.
Yeah, and he's just like, he's more of like, how's the show going?
Yeah.
And if everybody goes, it's going well, he's like, good. But he's not like a connoisseur of comedy, and he doesn't talk about. But one night, I said to him, I just, all the legends had worked there.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, Tony, did Andy Kaufman ever work here? And he goes, Andy Kaufman. Yeah. And the way he said it, I'm like, wait. He knows him, but like, this isn't something that he constantly tells people. He goes, Andy Kaufman. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, he tried out once. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah, we had heard about him around town. They were talking about this really good comedian, Andy Kaufman. He goes, he came in here, and at the time, we had the comedians try out at the end of the show. Like, we would do the show, the audience would leave, and then we would have the staff come in, and they would sit and watch and judge.
What?
Yeah. And he said the staff would sit and judge the comics. And so we would put on comic after comic, and the staff would say they're good enough to work here, they're not good enough. And he goes, so it was Andy's turn, and he goes, the comedian brought him up on stage, and he goes, he came up on stage, and he started putting together a drum kit. Like, he just started bringing it from the van, piece by piece, and building it on stage. He goes, you know, that takes a while. And so we're all like, how long is it going to take to see this show? He goes, so then he builds the entire drum kit. He goes, and then he leaves and goes downstairs. And we're like, where the fuck's this guy going now? And they said, the comics are like, oh, he's going to put on his outfit. So he puts on this outfit. I don't know if it was his Elvis outfit or what it was, but he goes, he puts on the outfit. He comes back upstairs, and he takes a bow. And he goes, and then he goes back downstairs, puts his street clothes on, comes back upstairs. We're all waiting, going, you know, where's the joke? What's he doing? He goes, and he starts breaking down the drum kit piece by piece by piece. And we're all kind of waiting, and there's this silence in the room, like we're waiting for this big laugh. He goes, and then he gets in the van and drives away. And he goes, never saw that guy again.
Well, you know.
And I'm like, have you ever told anyone this story? And he's like, I'm like, do you understand you are the punchline of this joke? And he's like, what do you mean? And he goes,
Yeah.
I was going to work him after that.
Yeah, that's that metal level that Andy was so amazing at. But you know, I spent a lot of time with Andy when I was just starting out.
Really?
He was still hanging out at the Improv. He was on, I think he was already on Taxi, or had just gotten Taxi. I don't remember, but
You started when you were 18 or something, right?
17.
17.
Yeah. But he would pop in. You know, he used to work.
You're 65.
I'm 100 years old. But he used to work at Wolf's Delicatessen on 57th Street. He used to bust tables.
I think I saw that in
here.
the
He used to
documentary.
bust tables at Jerry's
But
once a week.
Didn't he do that all the time?
Yeah, he did it all the time, and it was like a thing. It was like a
His
spiritual
thing.
thing for
Yeah.
him. It was like, you know,
Yeah.
I want to keep being a regular person. You know. Anyway, I think it was also just like he probably could, you know, found a million characters that way, whatever.
Right.
But he used to come into the Improv and heckle. It was like the beginnings of the Tony Clifton character, was
Right.
just some guy in the audience heckling the young comics. He did it to me a few times. Did it to a bunch of people, and it was really, really funny. It was essentially, you know, what became Tony Clifton, but he used to do it all the time. And there was one time at the Improv here, he did an evening with Andy Kaufman. And he specifically, the story I heard was that he specifically told Bud, absolutely no refunds can be given. Not a single, you must not give any refunds to anybody. So he did an evening with Andy Kaufman. He had hooked up a washer and dryer on the stage. ran a hose into the kitchen, and the audience is seated and waiting, and he pulls up out front and comes in with baskets of laundry, and he just does his laundry. He puts it in the wash. He sits down. He starts reading the paper, and he literally said nothing to the audience for a good 40, 45 minutes until people started heckling and everything. And then he was just like, "Well, what do you want me to do? What do you want?" What? And then he would start like reading stuff from the paper and go, "This is kind of an interesting story." And you know, it became a real, like, the crowd was really angry, and he did the whole thing, and he did the drying. And he folded everything. He put them in the dryer, so you had a wash cycle and a dry cycle.
See,
and he folded it all up neatly, put it in the basket, and walked off stage, went into his car, and went home. And that was what he said was, "This is an evening with Andy Kaufman, and tonight I have to do my laundry."
See, I find that hilarious. I've talked to people that upsets them.
It really upsets them. Yeah,
people get
so great.
really angry, and I'm like, that's genius.
Well, you know, when I first saw him when I was a kid, it was like I didn't get it for the longest time. I was like, you know, I was really like a comedy snob. Like, I hated guitar acts, I hated prop acts. I really was, you know, a snob about that shit. And yet I loved Steve Martin. You know,
I can
and I was
laugh
like,
at anything.
well,
Anything.
Now I get how complex this art form is, and I'm really like way open. But this happened to me one night. I mean, I'd seen him, you know, because whenever he went on stage, you know, all the comics, the Improv in New York had a little a little walkway between the bar and the showroom. And
was this the one in Shutters or the one on 44th Street or
no, the
whatever it
original,
was?
44th and 9th, yeah. And not only was it a little walkway, I swear to you, only two people could fit in the walkway at any time, and the bathroom door was on one side of it, so it was like this little tiny little hovel, and comics would cram in there and be, you know,
To see
watch
Kaufman.
certain people when they came in, you know, Rodney or, you know, Andy Kaufman, and And I was watching one night, and I didn't get it at all. And I was like, this fucking, so I didn't rush to go in the room and everything. I was sort of peeking from the back. And it was like somebody flicked a switch. All of a sudden, I just went, like, no transition, no ramp up, nothing. All of a sudden, I just went from, like, what the fuck is this? To, like, oh, my God, he's a genius. Like, this light went on, and I understood it. And then I just became a huge fan forever. Just watching him, everything he did. The story's a legion, too. I spent a night with him, and we walked. He was staying at a hotel on 59th and 6th, and the Improv is 44th and 9th. So he said, walk me back to my hotel.
So he was friendly off stage. And
it depends on who Andy was that night.
Right.
But this particular night, he was real chatty, and he was really like a regular guy, and really nice and friendly. And so there were like 2 or 3 of us, and we said, yeah, we'll walk you back. And he was... I had never seen him chatty like that, so I was like, yeah, I'll walk you.
Weren't you kind of
this
afraid
conversation.
that you were the brunt of a joke?
Yes, that's the weird thing about it. The whole time, you just kind of like, what's going on here? But it turned out it was a different joke that happened. And what he would do, so the 3 of us are walking from 44th and 9th to 59th and 6th, 57th, something like that. And he would change his accent every time he stepped off. When he would step off a curb, and in the street he wouldn't say a word, and then he got up on the curb, and he would continue what he was saying, but in a different accent. And he would only acknowledge you if you were speaking in the same accent he was speaking in at the time. And this went on for, what was it, 15 to 20 blocks? And he never broke it once.
And I wonder if that's like, I think it's genius, but it could be sociopathic.
Very well could be a sociopathic thing as well.
Well, you saw the thing about...
Well, Barbara Roman, my producing partner, represented him.
Did she really?
Yeah, she was his agent. I think she was a William Morris, maybe.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and she was his agent. In fact, she's the one who convinced him to go to the doctor when he was diagnosed with cancer. Because he was doing all these alternative therapies and shit, all that nonsense. And she said, well, you got to go to a doctor. No matter what you do, you got to go to a doctor.
Which cancer did he have?
Was it? What was it? It was a real quick killer, wasn't it?
Oh, pancreatic?
Yeah,
was it pancreatic?
Something like that, I think, yeah.
That's the fucking death sentence. I used to see at Largo stuff that was like Andy Kaufman-esque. Or not Largo, lung cancer. He had lung cancer. I used to see stuff at Luna Lounge in New York that was Andy Kaufman-esque that I just loved. Because I was kind of sick of comedy right when I started. I loved stand-up, but I hated bad stand-up. And you see... For every bad stand-up, for every 100 bad stand-ups, you see one good one. So you got to sit through a lot of bad to see the good. But you'd go to Luna and you'd see like Zach Galifianakis and Louis and all these guys doing this. But they weren't even the ones doing the kind of out there shit.
The alternative stuff like Reggie Watts.
But even though that's a little bit
Reggie,
different because Reggie's very trying to think of who the guys. There were guys, a lot of the state guys, and there was this guy. Oh fuck! I wish I could remember his name. That always tried. He was the guy, Michael Portnow. Look up Michael Portnow. He was the one that went on the Grammys and wore the shirt that said soy bomb, and he was always doing crazy fucking out there. Portnow, I think it's Portnoy. That's it, Portnoy. Yeah, he's like he was a there he is, soy bomb on the Grammys. He was always doing the craziest shit, just... You never knew what he was going to... It was almost you were afraid in the room that he was going to pull you into something that would embarrass the fuck out of you.
Makes it so electric.
He was amazing. And I don't know what he does anymore. I think he's... they say he's an artist. He's a musician. He's a...
But was he a comic?
Yeah, he would do comedy, and sometimes it would kill, and sometimes it would bomb. And he just took such risk that was amazing.
Well, look, I think Simon Munnery is like that. I think Paul Foote is like that. It was just so inventive. Tony Law is
I like Tony a lot.
Off the charts genius.
I haven't seen him in a while. I'd like to see what he's doing. But Michael Portnoy. But one night, John Benjamin and I think it's Michael Lee, if I'm right. Google Benjamin and Lee. They did a thing. It was the end of the summer, and they said beginning of the summer, and they closed down Luna for the summer because it gets too hot and they don't have air conditioning. Little bar in the Lower East Side, and they said, okay, end of the summer, or beginning of the summer, last show, last set, everybody get in the room. And so everybody came into the room, and they packed it. It was just a little box of a room. And they packed it. Everybody's sitting on the floor and hanging from the walls. Just they said, you gotta be in here. Don't be out at the bar drinking. You gotta watch the last set. They put on this music, and they introduced Benjamin and Lee. And it was a voiceover. Look up John Benjamin. He had his own show. John Benjamin, and then put Lee. I believe it's Mike Lee. It's Jon, John Benjamin. So they said the voiceover was like, there was music playing. It's like, John Benjamin and Mike Lee met while doing comedy at Princeton. I remember a lot of this. Met while doing comedy at Princeton, Catch a Rising Star. They were both open micers there, and they started a comedy career leading to blah, 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 blah. They've currently been doing this and doing this. And these two guys walk on stage with T-shirts on that say Benjamin, and then the other one says Lee. And they're big dudes, and right away I'm like, this isn't John Benjamin, this isn't Mike Lee. And these guys walk on stage, and there's music playing under the voiceover, and the two guys start to dance to the music. And then they rip their shirts off, and they're massive bodybuilders, like massive tan cut guys. And then one of them picks up a bottle of oil and squirts down the other guy. And then he starts rubbing the oil all over the other guy. And then all of a sudden, the one dude just rips the other guy's cock out and just starts sucking the guy off in front of everyone.
That's a good show.
And I have never laughed that hard in my entire life. And I'm watching the whole room just die laughing. Like, I've never seen a room laugh that hard, ever. And that was 15 years ago, and to this day I've never seen anything so funny, because it was just a whole bunch of people just watching gay sex laughing. Like, just fucking hysterical. And yeah, there they are, Benjamin and Lee. And John Benjamin's had his own show on Comedy Central recently. Mike Lee, I think, is a writer now for a lot of shows. But fuck, that was funny. I remember going up to John Benjamin afterwards and talking to him, and I go, that's how Hitler killed the Jews. I go, you had group thought in there. The whole group was laughing so hard. Oh. But I'm curious. I'd like to talk to them and see if that was a one-off. That's amazing. You know, when these guys do something, but like if they did that regularly and that was kind of their, then it's not funny anymore. Because I swear the first night Gallagher crushed watermelons was probably one of the funniest things ever seen ever.
Yeah.
And then when it became shtick, it was like, really.
Yeah. Well, that's what I used to love about Steve Martin and Albert Brooks. Both of them, whenever they did the Tonight Show, it was a piece written just for that appearance. It was always really great stuff. Do you remember?
I remember Steve Martin when he would do SNL.
When he would do this, he came out one time and he was like, he was behaving really uncomfortably and everything. And Johnny was like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Johnny, I got to tell you, usually, I'm watching you. I'm in bed." And he goes, "That's how I'm used to seeing you, and I just feel uncomfortable." And Johnny just goes, "Well, you want to make yourself comfortable?" And he went, "Yeah, if you don't mind, I think this would go a lot better." And he gets up and he pulls the cushions off the couch, and it folds out into a bed. And he gets in bed and does the interview from Johnny.
Oh, so the couch on the stage had a fold out?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was so funny. He came on once with, he had half a beard on, and he did normal material. He was doing just a stand-up set. This was even before he was a star. And he just goes, first he does a handful of jokes and stops in the middle and says, "What am I? Oh, there you go." It was just rubbing on the things. He comes out. He's got his beard is half shaven, and the other half is full beard. And he says, he does a few jokes and goes, "Oh, by the way, some of you are wondering about my appearance tonight. Well, I couldn't really decide whether I wanted to be one of those hip countercultural kind of comedians or a clean-cut all-American kind of comedian. So you people can take your choice. For those of you who like the clean-cut, put your hands over the right side of the screen. For those of you who like to..." And then he went, I'll continue. And then he just did the rest of his
his
material without ever commenting on it again. So funny. He came out once. He had a potted plant. He had like a big fern in a pot next to him, and he's just doing his act. And again, like 2/3 of the way through, he stops and he goes, "What's that?" Oh, and he talks about how he's been looking for a partner for a partner for his act for a long time, and didn't really find anybody right until he met Buddy.
And so he just did the whole.
Like, it was just genius.
That's
Albert Brooks came on once with a speaking spell as a ventriloquist dummy, and that's when he came up with the comedy School for Comedy. Do you remember that piece he did on Saturday Night Live, the film piece? It started out as a desk piece on the Tonight Show with Johnny. They just create these things just for the Tonight Show spot. It's not like they're going up and doing material that they've been doing or whatever. Yeah,
right.
And so they always had this feeling of, wow, man, that was
electric. Out on a ledge.
Yeah.
Taking the chance. There was someone who in England. Did you ever met Ian Cognito?
Oh yes.
Ian was very much like that. That guy didn't get enough credit. I felt like he deserves more credit for how crazy he is.
He's a bit of a legend, I think.
Yeah, but he deserves.
He's the Australian guy, right?
I don't know if he's. Look up Ian Cognito. I had one experience with him where I had heard all these stories. Like, he would take his coat on. The comedy clubs hated him because he would take his coat on. He'd go on stage, and he would have in his pocket of his coat a hammer and a nail. And he would walk over to the wall, and he would hammer a nail into the wall, and then hang his coat on it. And so the clubs would say, "Stop fucking nailing the wall." So then he would bring a drill in and drill a hole and put a screw in, and then they're like, "You got to stop." And then he would bring, like, somebody said once he built a shelf during his show and hung up his coat on it, put a beer on the top, and clubs would be like, "You got to stop fucking putting holes in our wall." And then another story I heard about him once. Well, I was with him, and he threw a beer on his chest. Like, he just he goes, "Let's get this out of the way," and just threw a full beer on his chest, and then goes, "Can I get another one now?" And I remember he had given me shit for saying that 9/11 was 11/9, so I took the beer up to the stage. I go, "Yeah, it's 11/9 if it happened in your country," and I went to throw it on him, and he like loved that. He was like, "Yeah, fucking," and the club was like, "You can't fucking throw a beer on him," and I was like, "Do you guys just for a living? Do you stifle comedy? Like, is that what you do?" And then the best story I heard about him was when they went to South Africa for the Cape Town Comedy Festival. He and a bunch of other comics ate pot brownies or pot muffins on the plane, and they got to South Africa and they were so fucked up. People sleep on those like long haul flights. They wouldn't sleep, and they were just talking, and people were telling them to shut up, and they wouldn't shut up, and they wouldn't close their blinds, and they landed and they got arrested. Now, I don't know how true this story is. I heard it actually from Sam that ran the Cape Town Comedy Festival. They landed, they arrested them on arrival.
For just general disturbance.
Disobedience. You're not. Anyway, so they get arrested, and Sam did tell me this, and he told it on film, so it must be true. The next day, one of the shows there that we all do is called the Danger Zone. So there's like the mainstream comics, and there's the Danger Zone comics, which remind me to tell you the Glenn Wool story. The Danger Zone, Ian Cognito was in the Danger Zone, so he and another comic get arrested. The headline of the Cape Times the next day says, "Danger Zone comedians arrested upon arrival." Bam, every ticket sold out. Like, people were like, yeah. One of the years I did it with Glenn. Glenn was not in the Danger Zone show. Glenn was in the mainstream show, and he was not happy about this. And Jim Jeffries and myself, all these other guys were in the Danger Zone comedian, Phil Nickel, and we were all having like the best time. It was like our crew of like the Danger Zone. And then, he was with a bunch of good comics, but he wasn't free to, because people were buying tickets to see, straight comedy, and then they would, and they want to hear the cunt and fuck shit.
And the mainstream shows are really PC and
so
touchy
So
audiences.
Glenn is not happy. So he's just not enjoying the festival, and it gets to. Glenn was supposed to come out here. Is he here? Or did he go? Did he leave?
I don't know.
JJ's
out here now, though.
Who is?
JJ.
I saw him the other night. Yeah, I got to get him, and I got to get Glenn on the show. Glenn it's the final night.
I think Sloss and Barry Castagnola are out now too.
Barry's here?
I think so.
I got to have Barry on. I have some good stories of Barry. Glenn is backstage. The last night we're all doing a combined show together. It's a daytime show, actually. It's in this big theater, and there's children in the audience. And Glenn is so fucked up backstage drinking wine. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, this is like, you don't get this drunk on wine. Like, Glenn is really.
This children's show, are you sure this wasn't the comedy for kids in Edinburgh?
No, listen to this. No, that was the Heckler Club. No, Glenn
No. There's a children's comedy show in Edinburgh. There's a great Glenn Wolfe story from that.
So guy. Glenn is so fucked up that I'm not talking to him because he's almost annoying that he's that fucked. Like we can't have a conversation. And I forget who he's drinking with. He had someone that was drinking wine with him, and he went on stage and just bombed miserably. And he was taking out all his frustration of being not being on the Danger Zone show. And I didn't realize he had been doing ecstasy too. So he's doing ecstasy, he's drinking wine, and he just can't even get words out of his mouth. And we're all watching it, and as comics do, like enjoying it. We're having the best fucking time. While the promoters are like, what the fuck is going on? And we're like, some of the greatest comedy you'll ever see in your life.
Genius is going on.
This is amazing, and you need to not interfere with this, as he's melting on stage. So it gets to the point where Phil Nickel does that song, The Only Gay Eskimo, and he's done it every night. He goes, it's the final night. He's like, why don't we all get on stage together after Glenn, and we'll all go out with him, and we'll sing The Only Gay Eskimo together. So we all go. See if you can pull up The Only Gay Eskimo song. We'll play it. So we all go out to sing it, and Phil's kind of in charge because he's playing the song, and Phil's got that comedic kind of. He knows where he's going with this, and he knows that he can almost exploit Glenn's, Glenn has no control of his body. So he starts doing the song, and we're all singing, and Glenn is just a mess. Glenn somehow stumbles to the microphone to sing his verse and just collapses to the ground, falls on the ground. The crowd's loving it. And he's just a mess. And he grabs the wire from the microphone, and it's in the stand, and he pulls it towards him. The whole mic stand falls over, and it was like magic. The mic lands in his hands, and he goes, children, let this be a lesson to all of you. Don't mix drugs and comedy. And then Phil goes over and decides to pull Glenn's pants off. And he starts pulling from the legs, and Glenn goes, don't. And we're like, oh, why? You know, we are all helping. Like, we're all grabbing it like the schoolyard. Yeah, take his pants off in front of the crowd. And he goes, I'm not wearing underwear. Which makes us pull harder, and we just rip his pants off in front of there's children in the crowd, and Glenn's just up there completely naked with his big bush, his Canadian bush, and he's just lying on the ground, and he's just looking at the crowd on the ground just like, there you go, you got it. And it was one of the most classic, like, Glenn.
That's what makes so many things like Edinburgh.
Wait, let's play. This was Corky and the Juice Pigs, which was Phil Nickel's band. That do they still play at all?
I don't know.
They were so fucking. This song's so funny.
For you now. It's a little ballad that we wrote years ago while on tour in the Yukon. I'm the only gay Eskimo. I'm the only one I know. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. I go out seal hunting with my best friend Tarka, but all I want to do is get into his parka. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. Well, me and Nuck Fluck Chuck Buck, we both like blubber. But me, I've got this crazy fetish for rubber. I'm the only gay Eskimo.
That's Sean Collins on the end. Do you understand?
I make a wish on the northern lights that I could find a decent pair of whale skin tights. I'm the only gay Eskimo in my tribe. And the seals, they sing now. These cold winter nights are taking their toll. I even get excited when I see the North Pole. See the North Pole. I'm the only gay Eskimo. Only gay Eskimo. I'm the only one I know. The only one I know. I'm the only
Sean Collins is amazing. Oh no, that's Sean Cullen. Sean Cullen.
I like the
Cullen.
Proclaimers would sing it. I'm the only gay Eskimo. I'm the only one I know. I'm the only gay Eskimo.
Phil is amazing.
Like Bob Dylan.
Here,
I'm the only gay
turn it off.
Eskimo.
Thank you. Thanks, Cody. Phil, yeah, I used to see him just go up there sometimes with like no material and just do some of the most amazing things. He broke his dick in half. Did you ever hear that story?
No.
He was fucking a girl so hard he fell out of the bed and his dick, like with a hard on, he hit the ground and it broke his dick. That like the muscle in the dick tore. Like he has an X-ray of his dick. It tore. He's a madman. I had
the classic Milton Berle joke.
What? Well, can you use a microphone? You just
sorry.
you now first Paul
forgot. I thought-
first Paul was
I-
using a headphone
I thought
or
this was so
microphone, no
professional.
headphones. Now
That's
he's
the thing, man.
now
I can
he's
only
headphone-
handle
no.
one wire at a time. I don't like the headphones. But anyway, the Milton Berle joke was at some roast. They said Milton Berle was going to be here tonight, but he's going to be here late because he was fucking some chick. He missed, hit the floor, and pole vaulted out the window.
Does he have a huge dick?
Yeah, you don't know that about Milton Berle?
No.
Classic. I've seen it twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Massive.
Massive, crazy, like below the knee. Anyway,
Some guys are blessed.
and yeah, in vaudeville, which you know what those days were like.
Were they fucking bitches left and right there?
Oh my God, they're on the road nonstop.
Yeah.
Anyway, Glenn Wool, I saw him do. James Campbell does this comedy for kids at Edinburgh all the
I
time.
don't know it, but
Yeah, well, he works with kids. He does comedy classes and stuff like that. And it's
they're always a great audience.
creativity stuff. So I went to do this comedy for kids thing. Glenn had.
You know
done
what's comedy for kids? Killing them.
Listen to this. Actually, you know what? These kids got on. What they did on the show was they kept be 3 kids and then a headliner. And it'd be like, real comics. Glenn did it. Jim's done it. I mean, most of us have done it. And I was scared shitless. I just was like, this was
I'd
creeping
bomb-
me out.
I'd
I mean, you
bomb miserably.
think about the hour before you're going to do that show.
I did
you know?
one kid show like on a TV show, and it was miserable.
Well, Glenn did it. And it was right around the time that he was going through his divorce. So he comes out and goes, "Hi, kids." The kids go, "Hi, Glenn." And he goes, "Any of you here with mommies who are maybe kind of lonely? Looking for some companionship?" And by the end of the show, he was rolling around on the floor going, "Kids, things don't always work out the way they say they're going to work." It was so funny. So funny.
I did a kid show once, and it was at the Melbourne Comedy
She doesn't
Festival.
understand me after all these years.
Mine was a pilot for a TV show for kids, and it was like for Australian Nickelodeon. And there were comics on it that are really good. Like some of them, who's that Irish comic that plays the keyboard? He's really funny.
David O'Doherty.
David O'Doherty. He's written children's books.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's
he's
right.
killing, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And my promoters are just like, get the check, just get out there. And I remember pulling money out of my pocket and saying, "Kids, whoever laughs the loudest gets the money." I just would and they would fake laugh. And it was like I was doing bits they knew nothing about, and I would like give them like they didn't even know where to laugh, and I'm like, "And laugh," and they would just laugh, and I'm like, "All right, there's somebody," and I'd flip a coin to a kid. Miserable. Glenn Wool was with us. We have Glenn was with us in Dubai when we got thrown out of all the nightclubs for.
That's right.
And Glenn was with us when
we had the bridge over the River Kwai
with the hookers.
With the.
That's a great story
Chinese
that people
hookers.
would never like. That's a story I tell and people don't believe. That's like a Wolf of Wall Street story that you tell and people go,
you know
"That's
what's-
embellished."
Yeah, but here's the problem with it is that nothing nasty happened. It was just goofy.
Yeah, I know. It was real. The girl,
Nothing-
the
there
hooker
was
kept
no- there was
asking
no
me.
sex,
The
there was no
hooker, the hooker kept saying to me, "You don't want to fuck me," and I'm like, "No,
we just want you
And
to
she
sing
was
Guns
like-
N' Roses.
She's like, "Why? But why not?" And she was like, "But I want to." And I was like, "I don't want to fuck you." And she was like, "Why not? I don't understand." Machete's like, "I would have fucked her." We bought hookers for $50. Like,
But wait a second. It started. We were in Dubai, okay, and when you go, what did we wanted? We had
We
just gotten
found
off
out-
the plane. It was the middle of the night.
Yeah,
but when we arrived,
we found out they were $50.
we wanted a drink, so we
Went
ordered
to a Filipino bar.
Each ordered a bottle from the bar.
Yeah, we had a promoter take us out, and he was one of those promoters that's a liquor promoter too. So when we'd go to a bar, he'd go, "Anything you want is on me." And so we were like, "Okay, I want a bottle of tequila," and he'd be like, "All right, you got it." And Paul would like, "I want a bottle of tequila and 2 beers," and Glenn would be like, "I want a bottle of Jack Daniels, a bottle of tequila, and
bottle of
4
vodka."
beers." You know, and we were laughing at how much money we were spending in bars. We would order drinks and like we were being abusive. We wouldn't even finish. We'd
we
leave
just give
drinks
stuff away.
everywhere.
Yeah, we'd just be buying drinks for everybody else.
We were like, let's see how much of the promoter's money we can spend tonight.
And he was happy to spend it. He had a great time. But anyway, at some point, somehow, somebody somehow, in a joking way or a setup way, said, "Logie, let's go get some whores." And the driver went, "I've got just the place."
No, there was somebody had told us they were $50 or something, and we were like, $50? What do they do for $50? They're like, anything you want. And so the joke
that's right,
became, we started going, can we pour maple syrup on them and then crush Pringles and
Can we
deep
get
fry
them to do our tax returns?
Yeah.
So like, what can we get them to do for $50?
So we just kept coming up with all these things we wanted the hookers to do. And we were like, $50, let's get like 10 of them. You know, like that's like one in America. Like this dollar goes far. So we went to
and he took us where they have the Asian hookers go, and they're just like sort of standing in
'Cause I think they're
sand
cheaper.
alongside the road, and we just had everybody in.
Yeah, we just
Everybody
started
got in the
filling
van.
taxis. We were like, getting this one. And we went to a party, which is weird in
No,
Dubai.
we were the party. It was only us at the house. Somebody took us to their house. We don't know who they are. Still to this day,
I have no idea
who
whose
that
house I was.
But we were in this house.
Yeah.
And it was just the guy who lived in the house, and I think his roommate lived there.
And they had musical instruments set up for like band practice.
Right.
And so we took it over. Glenn was lead singer. I was drummer. Never played a drum in my life. But I was the drummer of the band. What was your instrument?
I was playing around on some drums and some guitar, but I was also working with the backup singers, the
And
girls. I was working with the
The
girls.
prostitutes
I was
were our backup
choreography.
singers. And they were like, wait, but where are we going to fuck? And we were like, just sing. And they were like,
And Glenn,
they wanted their money, and we're like, we're going to pay you. You don't have to fuck.
Yeah, we're like, this is a night off for you guys. We're just gonna have fun, and they were like, they were professionally insulted. But by the end of the night, we were doing a big
Congo line.
a big line dance,
Whistling the bridge over the River Kwai.
which none of the girls were Korean, but for some reason that was yeah, and
I don't even think it's Korea. I think to this day we don't know where the bridge was. Because we argued that night over where was the...
is it in Korea or is it in...
Because they were Chinese hookers.
Right.
And we were like, I think the bridge over the River Kwai was in the
thought it was-
Philippines or something.
Yeah, right.
And we were completely...
We couldn't remember if it was World War II or the Korean War.
Yeah.
or-
And
none of us knew anything, so...
but we were teaching the girls how to whistle. These guys, all three of these Mexicans are looking at me like, what's the fucking bridge over the River Kwai? It's a famous old film. Oh, Cody knows it. Cody looked at me like, oh, why would you think I don't know that? I work at the fucking... Oh, I can't say where he works.
Did you find it yet?
Yeah, find out what
Where
country
was
it's in.
Was it the Philippines?
Thailand,
Oh, it's
Thailand,
Thailand.
Thailand.
So it was World War II? I thought it was Korea too, but Korea's...
Look it up and figure out what the story is. Oh, Cody, why the attitude? The bridge on the River Kwai. It's Burma. It's Burma. World War II. I didn't even know they were in Burma.
They just went there for shaves.
Anyway, so the hookers they had a good time.
It was hilarious. But Glenn is never not funny.
No, and he was involved in the we've talked about it on the show. I'd have to run upstairs to get it. Look behind you. What's that? No? That looks like a charger. Nope. You want me to go get it? Great, we're not going to Google it all from here on in. We're done Googling. Okay. Glenn was involved in the Heckler Club. I'm trying to think what else Glenn has been involved in that's just been like a total disaster.
Well, he used to do those kids shows, not stand up for kids, but remember in Edinburgh they have children's shows like theater and fables and fairy tales and stuff acted out. And for a couple of years he did his own show. He did all the late night shows, stand up spots, and he was doing a kids show in the afternoon. An audience full of kids. And I swear to God, I went back to see him in this one show like 3 times as the month of Edinburgh went on, because it just kept getting funnier and funnier. He was less equipped to do this show every day. Really sorry he got into it. But there was one time by the end of the festival, he showed up. He was so hungover. There were nights and nights where he didn't sleep for 72 hours or whatever, and he'd have to do this kids show at noon every day. And one time he just came in, and I think he was a tiger or something like that. And somebody gives him his line, and he's supposed to roar or something, and he just goes, "Yeah, you know what? I got a big tiger headache today. Yeah, tiger's not real, not really in the mood today."
I can't believe I didn't know about these kids shows, because Mickey D does the kids shows all the time. And he does like stand up with. There's a great story of what's the comic's name in Australia? They do kids shows at the festival. I am so bad with names right now. This comic's on stage, and he's doing one of the kids shows, and it's all like 7, 8-year-olds.
Yep.
And he's doing his bit. He's represented by my agent, so I'm friends with the guy. I'm just missing his name right now, but he's on stage doing the kids show. A whole bunch of kids and their parents, and a little kid stands up and goes, "You fucked me last night." And they said he froze. He just froze. He did not know what to say. But apparently, whoever this kid is, I want to sign him to a management contract, because the kid.
I'm telling you, at James Campbell's show, the kids that went on and did their 5-minute sets, they were knocking me out. They were really good.
The kid later in the show said something like, something about ham or something, and he goes, "You can't eat." Oh, something about who wants fucking ham or something. And somebody said something, and he turns around to the whole audience, little kid, and goes, "What are you, all a bunch of Jews?" But it's the same kid that pointed and went, "You fucked me last night."
I'm telling you, man, there's some funny kids out there. So I did comedy for kids. The first time they asked me, I said yes, and then I backed out. I was so scared of it.
It's terrifying.
And I felt so bad for a year that the next year I came back and
You had a show for him?
I called the girl who was booking it, and I said, I want to do it. It just had been gnawing at me that I was so afraid to do it. So
I have enough trouble making adults laugh.
It was so scary, but that's the thing, man. You got to take those scary. You got to take the scariest, most awful gigs. Wait, let me finish the story. So I went up, and I just have to tell you how I opened, because what I figured out was the kids don't matter. You just have to engage them somehow.
Right.
But you're really playing to the parents in the back of the room.
Right.
So if you can play the parents in the back of the room, you're in your comfort zone. You just have to couch it in a way that
I get it.
you're talking to kids. So I opened with, I said, you kids want to hear a knock-knock joke? And they said, yeah. And I said, okay, knock-knock. I said, who's there? No, it was, I'm sorry, that's not the joke. I said, what's small and black and knocking on your front door? And the kids went, what? And I went, the future. And the parents just died. They couldn't believe it. So the kids here and the parents laughed, took off, and then it was just silliness from then on.
Now I'm remembering, we used to do camp shows. I did them in New York, at Stand Up New York, and then the Improv would do them too. The Improv would say, they booked these like Jewish camps that would come and do like an early show or a late show, I forget. And it was like, it was totally for the counselors. And the kids were like high school level, which now, because of the internet,
cool, yeah.
the kids would be awesome and get everything. But this is like pre-internet, like about 8-9 years ago, where internet wasn't like there wasn't so much comedy on the internet. So they would just go, there was no censorship. They would say, do whatever you want. The counselors know, it's whatever you, and I would just be so, I thought I was bad. Ari Shaffir was like 1,000 times worse than me to the kids.
There's a man with no filter.
Yeah, none. And Ari would fucking, I got to talk to him about this, because I would laugh at how, I'd be like, I would censor a little bit, but in New York City, we would do the camp shows, and they were in the daytime. Like, you would go for the $50 or whatever it was to do these camp shows during the daytime. I remember Joe Matarese just losing it one night and going, look at this kid. He's probably the kid with one pube. And he just starts pulling kids out of the crowd. And he goes, does he? You guys have showered with him. Is this the kid with the pube? And he's like, you probably only have two. And you part them down the middle, you know? And I'm like, oh, my God. He's just like... Because you would snap, you would lose it, where you weren't getting any laughs, and then the insecurity of the comic would come out, and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to get him. I know I'm going to get him. And it would be. It'd usually be like you pick out a kid and embarrass the shit out of him. And it's
no different than adult crowds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Machete, we well over an hour now. This has been a wonderful episode of Talking Shit. We talked about a lot. There's one other guy.
Did you ever go up and do set list?
I've done it a few times.
Here in L.A.?
I did it once in L.A. in some weird room,
so
and I got to do it with the guy, the fucking father from 16 Candles.
Oh, Paul Dooley.
Yeah, how cool was that?
Yeah, he's great.
And I don't know, ask Troy about my night, how I did, because I've done it 3 times now.
Yeah.
The first time I killed, and I was really happy about it, because I went off after Todd Glass, and Rick Overton gave me the line. I'm watching Todd deconstruct the whole thing, and I'm like, how do I follow this? And I'm stressing about it. If you don't know what Set List is, look it up. If you're in England or Australia, you got to watch it. It's and it's coming to America, but it's a great TV show. It's a great live show. Go see it if you can. It's called Set List. Paul's one of the producers. Troy Conrad's one of the other producers. But what they do is they flash jokes on a screen on stage, and then
it's not jokes. It's
words,
set list topics.
A statement, like a set list.
The
topic.
audience and the comics both see it for the first time. The comic has to improv the set that goes with the set list we're throwing at them.
And then Todd Glass deconstructed the whole thing.
Right.
Like some comics do it wonderfully, and that's Todd's thing, to do deconstruction. Yeah. So he does it, and now it's impossible to follow. And Rick Overton pulls me aside and goes, just go up there and go, oh, great, now I'm the guy that has to reconstruct it. And it was at Nerd Melt, where a really smart audience, and I said it, and they got it, and I went, oh, fuck it. And then in the middle of my act, my phone rang, and my ringtone at the time was Joe Esposito, the song from The Karate Kid, the theme song. You're the best around. Nothing's ever going to keep you. And the audience just died laughing. And I was like, oh, sorry, that's my phone. And I was able to like riff on something like that. So I was so cocky the second time I went to do it. I was like, I kill this. You know, this is so easy for me. This is my thing. Bomb. Bomb so bad.
Can never rest on your laurels.
I
man.
just wanted to take a rape shower afterwards.
Right?
It was
it's
awful.
Horrifying.
And then the third time it was okay. I always talk too much, so when I get nervous I talk even more, and I was just talking too much. And my bits were going forever. It's an awesome show. It's so much fun to do. If you get a chance, go see it. You're doing it.
You'd love this one.
You do it at all the festivals, right?
I got the topic once. Egypt travel slogans.
Oh, but see that.
And all I did was go, "Hey, come and see our new dead guys."
I had one once that said like something about double negatives, and so then for the rest of the act, I tried to continue doing that, and it was like, oh.
And you go to, why did I put myself in this bind?
Yeah, and Troy was like, that was amazing how you worked that in. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was just a bumbling fool up there. But it's a fun show to do. I've got to do it again. I'll do it anytime. I will do it anytime you guys have it. I always forget to call them and tell them.
You got to do it a few times so we can get ready if we get a chance to put you on the web series.
Yeah, I would like to do it. Where do you do it? Out of Nerd?
Well, we've been doing it around the world.
But isn't it on Nerd Melt?
We generally shoot it at Nerd Melt here in LA, but we have a whole bunch of episodes now going up from Edinburgh. We got episodes coming up from Galway. We've got more episodes coming up from the Soho Theatre in London. We have some from Montreal.
And if the fans want to see it, where can they see it?
YouTube.com/Nerdist. Just go
it's on the Nerdist channel.
It's on the Nerdist channel. Just scroll down to the set list playlist.
Great. Check out the set list, and you'll see comics really having to be funny and not using their rehearsed shit.
It's really, really funny.
Yeah. And thank you, Paul, as always.
Good to see you, man. You're going to be in town for what, another 11 minutes?
No, I'm here till the 12th, and then I go to Australia to the Adelaide Fringe Festival.
And then
You've never done that festival. That's the most fun festival in the world.
I know, but
it's the best.
Looking to put together Melbourne this year. Go back with set list this year because last year was just a ridiculous killer.
I remember. Remember, I was doing my show and then I ran.
That's right.
I ended my show early so that I could get the set list. And I remember I like people were waiting in line for me to sell or sign my merch, and I was like, I can't. And I looked like the biggest dick. And I left, and I run all the way down the street to set list, and you're like, we're done.
Yeah, we couldn't hold him any longer. But we want to bring it back to Sydney, but I don't know. It's so tough to. Does George ever answer an email?
No, he's known for that. George, if you've ever listened to a podcast, which I doubt you have.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's listened to this one.
Answer phone calls and emails. He's the worst. I love the guy.
Man, he treats you great.
Oh, he's a wonderful guy.
Treats you great.
Doesn't return messages.
Does not return a goddamn call. He's worse than me, and I suck.
No, you're good. Paul, you've been, in my comedy career, one of the most supportive people. This is the only time I'm sincere on the show. You really have. It's like,
I feel sorry for
in
you.
this business, you need a couple guardian angels, and you've been one of them. I swear to God, without you, I would be more poor.
Well, I think you're funny, and I think that you're, for some reason you keep shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
So and that entertains me. So I like to have you around.
Well,
it makes me feel like, you know what? As fucked up as things are for me right now. Oh, look at Eddie.
Let's just hand him shit and watch him ruin it. Let's just watch him ruin everything. I'm starting to realize why I do it, or how I never thought I sabotage myself, and I've realized that I do, and it's just recently, because I've been listening to Barry Katz's podcast.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And I love it. Industry standard. It's a really good podcast. And
yeah, I've been hearing great things.
And I hear how they all talk and how positive they are.
But I understand that Barry's going to screw up his own deal.
I almost just made a joke that I'll make off air that I didn't make because it would get back to him. And that's my problem. My no filter has fucked me. But it helped people like Patrice O'Neill and all these guys. For some reason.
Well, when you're a big black man, you can say that too.
I can't say shit. I can't say anything. All right. Thanks for listening to Talkin' Shit. I want to thank the Mongs. Thanks, Chi-Chi, for filming, Machete for the audio, Cody for Googling and doing whatever the fuck he does over there. He does a lot of shit. He does all our social media.
Until his battery runs out, and that's it.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He's got a heart out.
Check me out in Indianapolis, San Diego at Madhouse Comedy Club, and I'll be at the Adelaide Fringe Festival.
Hey, tell people they should download your episode of The Green Room.
Oh yeah, and I'm on.
It's on Amazon.
I did an episode of The Green Room with Tommy Chong, Joe Rogan. It's one of my favorite shows, favorite performances
really fun,
ever.
Right? It was
best
really
show
funny.
I've ever.
Eddie was really
best
funny.
Best TV show I've ever done. Yeah, edited the fuck out of me, but
well, everybody had to get.
You didn't. All I wanted was the story of the raping the Pope story.
That's the one thing that Showtime's. It's the one in the entire series in 14 episodes. It's the one thing that Showtime said you can't do that. The one thing.
Really?
Yeah, but I have the clip, and you know what? Fuck Showtime. I'll give it to you. You can upload.
Yeah,
it.
I did. I put Paul tried to put me in the Aristocrats, and you were gonna put me in the DVD extras, and I didn't make it. But you gave me the clip, and I have the clip on my DVD as an extra.
Do you?
Yeah. So if you buy my DVD, which one is that? I Love Pussy. It's a DVD extra.
You got to give me that. I don't have that.
Yeah, I'll give you one. I don't even have, but they're all.
I'm sure you have some, Eddie.
I swear to God, I don't. I swear to God, I don't. Milan, send me some DVDs.
I'll get one from eBay.
Milan, you know Milan. Milan will give you one. Yeah.
Oh, it's a Milan DVD.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember you asked me for that, but I never saw it on there. But yeah, you should put that online. But no, but I mean, people should see you actually have a real conversation with really funny people on that show.
Yeah, that show's great. It's
you're
wonderful.
Really, really funny on it.
And Rick Shapiro was on it, which is awesome.
Which is awesome. And
Paul called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna put you on the green room. You're gonna do an episode. It's gonna be you, Dave Attell, and Doug Stanhope." And I go, "Don't." And he's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "I don't want to be on with those two because every time I talk, people be like, 'Shut the fuck up. We want to hear Attell and Stanhope.'" And then I go, "Please don't put." He goes, "All right." He goes,
I know, what a pussy. You're such a pussy.
No, I just felt like, no, here's why. Here's why. Because those two are legends to me.
Dude, I put Janine Garofalo on instead.
And they killed her.
And she did. You kidding? She's the only person I know that's ever made. I've never seen Doug Stanhope cower.
Really? I got to watch that again.
Guilt.
I got to watch. Oh, out of guilt.
No, I mean, like really, because she just said to him, she went, "I'm sorry, I think you're incorrect," and just went right at him, and he backed down and softened, and then he sort of tries to kind of apologize for
really?
it.
I got to watch
really
it again.
Funny.
Then you said to me, you go, "I have a spot in the Rick Shapiro episode," and I went, "That's it. That's the one I want to do."
I'm in.
So check that out. The Green Room on YouTube.
Tommy Chong. How great is it getting high with Tommy Chong in the parking lot? Seriously, I mean that's like some sort of like
he smoked
religious
pot.
right.
He smoked pot sitting where you are right now.
That's awesome, right? He cured his own cancer. Well,
yeah,
I shouldn't say cured, but
he said. I said, "How'd you cure cancer? Or how'd you get rid of your cancer?" He goes, "I just started eating well and more pot."
Yeah, he was doing the megadose.
Yeah, he goes, "The marijuana, it'll do anything. It's great. It's amazing."
That's a pretty good impression.
Yeah, that's because I go over to his house and he makes me. I told the story a million times, but I was over.
Well, you gotta let me know when you're going over sometime. I'll go over with you.
I'm good buddies with Paris, his son, and
I'd love to go hang with Tommy again.
And Tommy's always like, "Hey, how's your weed, man?" "Yeah, I got this organic stuff. It's got no chemicals in it. It's amazing. It'll." He told me. I told him I can't smoke weed because of my panic attacks. He goes, "Oh, you got demons."
Yes,
yeah,
right.
I've heard about this. You got to get rid of them. It's not the weed, it's you, man. It's what's going on in your brain.
He's completely right.
He's like, you got to fix that, man, and then you got to get back to the weed. All right, well, thank you. We'll post all this stuff on the Facebook page as always. The Twitter, if you want to check out Paul, what's your Twitter?
At Paul Provenza.
At Paul Provenza. And check out the set list on the Nerdist website or YouTube page. And come up to see my live shows. And that's it, guys. And thanks for listening this long.